Hey YouTube, Roscoe here. I've just been out taking a nice walk with my dogs at the Nelson Atkins Museum on this fine fine afternoon, winter afternoon. It's very mild. It's been a lovely day. And I've been walking and thinking and listening to podcasts and things. And I got some things on my mind, kind of a rant I'd like to get off my chest. Um, I'm fascinated by history. I've read a lot of history since I was a kid, and I've read a fair amount about what happened in Germany before the Second World War. And I often wondered over the years what it would have been like. What kind of person would I have been if I lived in Germany during the 30s? Would I have left the country? Would I have resisted? Would I have just gone along, just to get along? Uh, what do you do when all the people around you just lose their collective mind? And now I think I have an inkling of that. We as Americans, in my view, have collectively lost our minds. We weren't getting along all that well before. We aren't having substantive conversations to solve our problems, and now we're doing it even less. We have a whole section of America that doesn't feel like you even need to have facts. There's no reason you need to even tell the truth anymore. That just seems, when did that become a good idea? And no one's upset about it. Uh, I don't know. And what am I talking about? Well, we basically elected a lunatic as the chief spokesman and chairman for our country. And what do I mean by that? What are some examples of what I mean by that? Like the way he's choosing his cabinet. It seems like he looks around and tries to find the person who's least equipped to do the job. A woman who's never been to public school to run the public school system. A man who's fought the EPA his whole life and tried to get rid of it to run the EPA. A man who has been having secret meetings with the Soviets as his NSA advisor. A man whose only experience is to be a right-wing journalist as his chief of staff. Uh, what? Holy cow! And then he issues these executive orders with no thought. Now, executive orders, that's kind of a sticky wicket anyway, but you can be smart about it. For example, he issued a ban on immigration from several Middle Eastern countries. And I know that the United States is not a wilderness anymore, and we need to control our borders. And I'm perfectly fine with very carefully vetting people who come from certain trouble-torn areas of the world because they oftentimes might be dangerous. But you could be smart about it. Um, it's very important that you do things wisely. So when you issue, your country, your government issues a visa for an individual and they get onto an airplane, when they land in New York City, that visa needs to be honored. And if it isn't, people look at that and just go, that is just nuts. That's so stupid. And a big thing that makes America great is we have the dollar and it's used as a reserve currency. Well, the reason it's a reserve currency is that people look at America as stable, wise, well-reasoned leadership. This does not look good. And people look at that and they go, maybe we should be talking to the Chinese, or maybe the euro. It's looking pretty good now. Maybe we need to shift some of our dealings somewhere else. That would be devastating to the United States economy. It'd be devastating to the average citizen in America if that were to flip. And it's things like this that cause that to happen. And another thing is, if we act like lunatics, and we should really get into some trouble, and I'm not talking about Al-Qaeda, I'm talking about some real serious trouble. We need to be looked at as a country that can be relied on so that other people will help us. And, that's very important. You just can't do what you want as much as we would like to. And then even more disappointing, I wake up every morning and go, what kind of crazy things are going to happen today? It's an unstable thing, and it's not good. We need to be a reasonable country with reasonable governance. I watched a press conference with the president just the other day. You're just so shocked, like you almost can't believe it's happening. First, he says a lot of things that are half-truths or untrue. And when a reporter stands up and simply points out, I'm sorry, sir, that's just not actually factual, he denigrates them. He is abusive with them. He's childish. He tells them to shut up and sit down, like somehow, I don't know. It's horrifying. This is the real world here. And you can't act like that. This isn't a part-time TV show. where a fake part-time celebrity gets fake fired at the end. You're dealing with people like Vladimir Putin. The guy has his own nuclear weapons, and he's ex-KGB, and he would just as soon punch your lights out as talk to you if you piss him off. And you go to your little bathroom in the morning and get out your little iPhone and tweet at him like you're a butthurt 5-year-old that didn't get invited to a birthday party, and it's not going to go well. This is the real world. Real things happen to real people in this situation. It's not TV. Little children get blown to smithereens based on information and actions that men in Mr. Trump's position take, and we need a more stable person running that show. So where am I going with this? Well, for one, I really encourage everybody to talk to each other more, to be reasonable, to look for solutions to our problems. I encourage everyone to get involved, and maybe we can do something that would help to kind of work our way out of this. We have got to quit selecting people who will not do what they need to do in order to maintain a stable country. People, I see people, they talk about it almost as if they would like for it to collapse. Well, you need to talk to some veterans who have been in some failed countries, because I can tell you, it isn't pretty. You know, we're talking about things where people get dragged out by their hair in the middle of the night and have their whole family killed in front of them. And you think that can't happen here or in some of the countries that are allied with us, you're just not thinking clearly. We've been really lucky and fortunate. We've lived in a relatively peaceful time, but that can all change. So get involved, calm down, try to find some common ground with your neighbors, and let's try to get this thing back on the road. That's all I got to say about that, I guess. I rant, therefore I am, I guess. So if you have any comments, you can put it down below. I'd love to talk to you about it and get a conversation going. Well, I think I may take my dogs for another little walk here, look at some more beautiful sculpture in this beautiful park. And then I'm going to take my sweetie to dinner somewhere, like the Roman king that I am. And I'll talk to you later. Roscoe out.